can be found at the entrance of the Moncayo meeting room.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start.
Please take your seats.
Can you please take your seats? Thank you very much. Yes. 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 Okay. Yes. Coming on the stage is after the mariachi. So what we do now, mariachi is
Everyone is out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start. The dignitaries have seated, so can everybody else please sit down, please? Thank you. Start.
Bienvenidos a México.
Welcome to Mexico, to Jalisco, to Zapopan. A year ago, we were at Yuapesoa in December, in the process of renewal of the mandate to continue with this forum. And today, we are here in the 11th Forum for Internet Governance. Mariachi is a world heritage. It represents our love for our land, the tradition of our people, and our culture. Today, Jalisco, capital of innovation, celebrates the inauguration of this great event with Mexican music, which is, by excellence, a cultural reference of our country known around the globe. And Jalisco, capital of innovation, is its home. I please ask you for a round of applause for Mariachi San Francisco.
quise a mí, por eso vivo penando. El mariachi de Tecalitan los sones. Traigo un amor y lo traigo tan adentro que hay momentos que no siento donde traigo el corazón. Traigo un querer tan adentro está de mi alma que he perdido hasta la calma por querer a esa mujer.
El jarabe zapateado sacastillas al tablado y el mariachi entusiasmado lanza sones sin parar. El palenque se rebosa con la sangre de un tapado y una china coquetona busca amores al cantar.
Alegría, sí, señor. Que digan que estoy dormido y que me traigan aquí. México lindo y querido, si muero lejos de ti. brisa limpia, rosa temprana. La verde jara fresca del río, son mis palomas tu caserío. Guadalajara, Guadalajara, hueles a pura tierra mojada. Ay, 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 colomitos lejanos, ay, ojitos de agua hermanos, hay colomitos inolvidables, inolvidables como las tardes en que la lluvia desde la loma no nos dejaba ir a Zapopan. Puro Jalisco, sí señor. Ay, 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 Guadalajara hermosa. No decirte una cosa, tú que conservas agua del pozo y de tus mujeres el fiel rebozo. Guadalajara, Guadalajara, tienes el alma más mexicana. Ay, 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 Guadalajara. Señor.
¿Les gustó? Bienvenidos. Les pido ahora a los oradores.
I now ask our speakers for this inaugural session to please come up to the podium. We have Ms. Lagunes Soto Ruiz, coordinator of the National Digital Strategy of the Office of the Presidency of Mexico. Ambassador Miguel Ruiz Cabañas from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Lenny Montiel, Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Mr. Pablo Lemus, Mayor of Zapopan. Mr. Aristóteles Sandoval, Governor of the State of Jalisco. I am pleased to welcome Mr. Lenny Montiel, Assistant Secretary General from the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon. Ms. Alejandra Lagunes, National Digital Strategy Coordinator.
The Secretary General for Multilateral Affairs and Human Rights. Mr. Aristóteles Sandoval, Governor of Jalisco, Mr. Pablo Lemus Navarro, Mayor of Zapopan, Excellencies, distinguished participants, stakeholder participants participating online around the world. I'm pleased to join you here this afternoon at the 11th annual meeting of the Internet Governance Forum. And I'm also pleased to deliver a message on behalf of the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, to all of you. I quote, "I send my warm greetings to Internet Governance Forum. I thank the government of Mexico for hosting the forum and for its leadership in advancing the forum's objectives. This year's gathering is the first since its 10-year renewal by the General Assembly, which reaffirmed the importance of the IGF multi-stakeholder platform for public policy dialogue. Your efforts have made profound impacts as we strive together to create an equitable, human rights-based knowledge society. I welcome the theme of this session, enabling inclusive and sustainable growth. Indeed, the Internet and information and communication technologies can play an important enabling role in our efforts to fulfill the great promise of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. They can deliver smart solutions to address climate change, hunger, poverty, and other global challenges. They are tools for providing digital and mobile healthcare and wider access to education to those in rural areas. They can also help to empower women, generate efficiencies in industrial and agricultural production, and safeguard the environment. I urge you to keep working to ensure universal access to a more open information society. Let us address the challenge we face by empowering people everywhere with these transformative technologies so that they can help build a better future for all. I wish you all a fruitful meeting." End of quote. Excellencies, distinguished participants, the beautiful state of Jalisco here in Mexico is an ideal setting for our deliberations. The Zapopan-Guadalajara area has become a global technology hub and a space for entrepreneurs and young people using technology to thrive. We applaud Mexico and its leaders for investing in young innovators. Some are here with us today. As entrepreneurs, they can pioneer transformative technology, create jobs, and benefit whole economies. Let us also again thank the government for hosting us this year. We are deeply indebted to our Mexican friends for the support they have shown. They offered to host this year's meeting nearly 3 years ago. This commitment was critical during the WISE's +10 review process. Let me also remind you all that it will take a community-wide effort for the IGF to continue to grow. We ask all of you here for support and guidance on this. We at the UN appreciate the opportunity to have serviced the IGF for more than 10 years now. We remain committed to support the IGF and its open, transparent, community-driven work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Assistant Secretary General. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Pablo Lemus Navarro, Mayor of Zapopan, to take the floor. Thank you.
Muy buenas tardes.
Good afternoon, distinguished members of the head table. Ambassador Miguel Ruiz Cabañas, it's a pleasure to be welcoming you here in Zapopan. Lenny Montiel, Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations Department for Economic and Social Affairs, Alejandra Laguna Soto, Coordinator for the National Digital Strategy. Clearly, Mr. Jorge Aristoteles Sandoval Diaz, the Governor of the state of Jalisco. We say that building the national and international agenda from the local point of view is today's agenda. On this basis, I would like to let you know about some specific data with respect to this great municipality of Zapopan. We are one of the 9 municipalities of Guadalajara. We are the first municipality, ranked first statewide in terms of our ability to attract investments. We are the first in the state in terms of generating new jobs. We are number 4th nationwide in our contribution to the GDP. We are ranked 3rd in the UN Habitat Prosperity Index. However, in spite of these great indicators, Zapopan also ranks 2nd nationwide in terms of its inequalities. As a municipality, we have 4 times the territory of Guadalajara, which has with 1,110 square kilometers. With this type of data, I would like to describe to you the great challenge facing us. Today, using the technology as a tool to fight inequality, undoubtedly the internet and accessibility for all, regardless of their economic or social standing, will imply a very important factor in their inclusion in development. The notes of a city are undoubtedly the type of investments it's able to draw in. In Jalisco and in Zapopan, we have designed and jointly set down the basis so that we can have Jalisco be the capital of innovation. And that's why we are wagering on attracting high value-added investments that imply knowledge and visitors that will bring in a great deal of wealth to this city. We've also wagered that with this concept of a creative, digital city, a structure that was born in the municipality of Guadalajara, that we will be able to expand it throughout the city. The creative, digital city that was conceived of initially simply as a building in the historic downtown area of Guadalajara in the Morelos Park can also be a concept that will be adopted throughout the city. That is to say, when we visit any city distinguished by its knowledge, we can realize that it's not just a building per se. It's not just a matter of the surroundings of a physical area that describes a creative digital city, but rather it's a city in its entirety. And as a result of this, we have established our strategic alliance with the government of the state so that this creative digital city can reach many more municipalities, including that of Zapopan. Insofar as we are able to consolidate this great project, Jalisco will become renowned nationally and internationally as this capital of innovation. I would like to cordially welcome you to the municipality of Zapopan and, of course, to wish you a wonderful stay in this area. We hope that you will be able to enjoy all of the attractions that are just there outside of these doors. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor Lemus. Now I'd like to give the floor to Ambassador Miguel Ruiz Cabañas Escarado, Undersecretary for Multilateral Affairs and Human Rights at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Mexico. Thank you.
Muy buenas tardes a todas y a
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Aristoteles Sandoval, Governor of the state of Jalisco, Mr. Lemus Navarro, the Mayor of Zapopan, Thank you very much for this wonderful welcome to the state of Jalisco and the municipality of Zapopan. Mr. Lenny Montiel, Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations Department for Economic and Social Affairs, Ms. Alejandra Laguna Soto, National Digital Strategy Coordinator. Before saying anything else, I'd like to say that I'm very pleased to be here in this city in Jalisco, because my family is from this state, so it's always a pleasure to come back here. I bring you the regards of the Secretary of Foreign Affairs of Mexico. She was not able to be with us today. She had to stay in Mexico City as she had other affairs to deal with. But I have several messages for you. Clearly, the 2030 Agenda is the most ambitious agenda of mankind in recent history. I would put it at the level of the UN Charter of 1945. Why? Because it is an international agreement that, no less and no more, proposes to do away with poverty of the world, leaving no one outside of the benefits of development. Each and every one of the states in this world must be on the path to development focused on individuals, and this had never before been seen. It's a great satisfaction for the international community to have achieved 17 SDGs, 169 concrete targets. We hope that within this time frame, the history of the world will be one of progress, development, and that humankind can feel satisfied and gratified with itself. In Mexico, we are well aware of the internet and the capacity for transformation offered by information and communication technologies. They obviously represent a privileged tool for reaching international development goals. They provide us with communication with the entire world. They give us solutions, enabling us to gain access to the new global wisdom through the internet. And that's why the second message, the main challenge that we have as an international community, is to make access to the internet equal for all, to the access for all from the different regions, nations, sub-regions can have equal access to the internet, and so that we can all benefit from it. And that is the great challenge. Thirdly, we must be aware that the internet also implies risks. These are risks that cannot be set aside. All countries must have national strategies for cybersecurity. They need to cooperate with other states to do away with the negative adverse effects of agents that use the internet for their own ends, which are not ends that are the best for humankind or society in its entirety when they are used by groups such as organized crime or groups that promote violence, for instance. Cybersecurity and protection against attacks must be one of the major priorities of our discussions in terms of the IGF. They must also, our discussions, ensure access to the internet and its interoperability. Number 4, the IGF has become a privileged space for exchange and debate amongst all actors that are tied into the benefits of access to the network. If we look at the renewal of the mandate of the IGF for another 10 years, we can understand the importance of this forum, and I'm so pleased that this is being done in this capital of innovation. It's not just for instrumentation of the SDGs, but we are truly pleased as well that the holding of this event is per se that to foster the enabling of sustainable and inclusive growth, fighting climate change with cross-cutting policies that contribute to access and use of the internet. I would congratulate the organizers of this event and wish you the very best in your week of exchanges. I truly hope that they are very fruitful. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I would like now to give the floor to Governor Aristoteles Sandoval, Governor of the state of Jalisco.
Quiero darles la más.
I would like to give you all the most cordial of welcomes to this, your home over the next few days, to Mexico, where you're amongst Mexicans and things Mexican, such as our mariachi that you have just heard with its wonderful notes. Of course, the land of the most well-known beverage or alcoholic beverage in the world, tequila, which we have here so that you can try, of course, in moderation. And clearly, charreria, Mexican sport par excellence, Mexican horseback riding. Here in Zapopan, the capital of innovation, all three levels of government are joined to work in this engine that fosters transformation through this virtual world. I would like to thank, of course, Alejandra Lagunes, Lenny Montiel, of course, Miguel Ruiz Cabañas, and Pablo Lemus, who continue to work and to listen to society and transformation in this very important time in which we are seeing changes in society. History is being made here, so one, we have the opportunity to attend fora of this importance. I like to remember that it wasn't just a few years ago, it wasn't very many years ago, that humankind was remembering the fall of a world that divided the world in two. And then it was in the 80s when technology that was building bridges that set aside geographical borders and national boundaries, enabling collaboration, co-creation, and enrichment of cultures. And when all of this comes to mind, I am still surprised that today, whereas in the world we're still discussing how to use the tools of communication and transformation, we continue to see universal society, the society of knowledge, and with the existence of statements that talk about walls that would continue to be erected to divide peoples. Here we're discussing the relationship that exists between internet and sustainable development, development of information technologies for the good of our peoples. In the 70s, many organizations documented the relationship between these goods and wealth. The latest data of the World Bank indicate that for each increase of 10% of the population connected to the internet, there's a 1.3% increase in the GDP of a nation. However, recent history also tells us that the distribution of this wealth is not equal. It is focused on those who have the greatest possibilities of learning how to take advantage at an early age of these benefits, and those whose abilities are developed for use of technology to its greatest effect. Technology also implies social gaps. They support each other. Different researchers have told us about this. The 2016 Information Society report that's communicated through the UN confirms that appreciation. Amongst the 10 highest ranked countries because of their index on information technology, we have 7 European nations and 2 from Asia. Those who are most communicated are also those who are least communicated, rather, are the countries that are least developed. So the UN and its desire to fulfill the Sustainable Development Goals and to have this be supported by the IFG becomes even more important. Here we have governments and peoples that need to foster this transformation on a daily basis. The UN General Director, Madame Irina, who has just spoken of doing away with all forms of poverty by 2030, says that this is an ambitious yet reachable goal, and it is the key to success in this work of collaboration, solidarity, and promotion of peace. Personally, I believe that there is no place that is more democratic, sound, and ready for international collaboration than the Internet. It's a matter of a public space such as roads, schools, universities, sidewalks and parks, although it does not have any barriers, any physical frontiers or boundaries. However, there are other types of barriers that we need to ensure that all human beings be able to take part in this progress, and those are the barriers of inequity or of inequality. This year, 165 countries that take part in the measurements have progressed significantly. Mexico, for instance, thanks to its transformational efforts in communications and and technologies fostered by the President of Mexico, went from ranking 96 to 92nd, 4.78% in 2016. The progress was seen in a greater use of ICTs, whereas a greater percentage of the world's population is using broadband, and only 47% is using broadband. We've seen that those with the highest wages are most likely to use advanced services, e-trade, e-government platforms, and those who have less abilities to use the internet to communicate or for entertainment. These are the high prices of services, low income, and the lack of skills, which are preventing a more expanded use of internet and its services. In this forum, the Argentine Forum, Carolina Guerre told us of the economic barriers that are seen in the internet, in the society of knowledge, in high-level academic institutions. They have the support of online books and texts, and to have access to them, many researchers have to pay very high amounts of money. So it was difficult for me to find a quote by her because some of her articles are not freely accessible. The private sector and the social sector must work together in development of ITCs, converting digital illiteracy into access to all forms of internet without discriminating on any basis, a gender, ethnic basis, any basis. In this state, we have set this as one of the priorities on our agenda, fostering adoption and use of ICTs. I have only left to say welcome to all of you. I hope your stay is very pleasant. We will be anxiously waiting to read of your results because your discussions and reflections will be very important to raise awareness in governments and to empower society in this virtual world that is beginning to build transformation and that fosters change for the good of all. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, señor gobernador.
Thank you very much, Mr. Governor. And now I would give the floor to Assistant Secretary General, Mr. Lenny Montiel.
In accordance with the customs of the Internet Governance Forum, I now have the honor to invite Ms. Alejandra Lagunes, Coordinator of the National Digital Strategy in the Office of the President of Mexico, to assume the chairpersonship of the 2016 IGF on behalf of the Government of Mexico.
Subsecretario General Montiel.
Assistant Secretary Montiel, thank you for your words. It's an honor for me on behalf of the Office of the President to preside over the IGF 2016. I'm sure that we're going to have very useful and productive dialogue over the next 4 days. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I would like now to
Ahora me gustaría invitar
of IGF 2016 meeting to make a statement. Thank you.
El futuro de nuestra cohabitación.
The future of our coexistence in modern life is based on a development of the art of dialogue. Dialogue implies the true intention of mutual understanding in order to live together in peace, thanks to our difference and not in spite of them. Sigmund Bauman. Lenny Montiel, Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Jesus Pablo Lemus Navarro, Mayor of Zapopan. Ambassador Miguel Ruiz Cabañas, Undersecretary for Multilateral Affairs and Human Rights. Jorge Aristoteles Sandoval Diaz, Governor of Jalisco. Good afternoon to you all. It is an honor for Mexico that you accompany us on this 11th edition of the IGF. Thanks to the UN and particularly to the Assistant Secretary General, Mr. Lenny Montiel, Mexico is honored to host you. Thanks to the crossing of borders to bring together this event. Thank you to all panelists and all attendees, and to the Governor of Jalisco and his team for their valuable collaboration in the undertaking of this forum, and the Mayor of Zapopan for all of their assistance. Since the creation of this forum, it was considered an open space of multi-stakeholders so as to establish and share best practices on internet governance, a dialogue that makes us more human, that brings us closer and opens the doors to true coexistence of all persons. Today, we welcome more than 3,000 representatives of over 80 countries from all regions of the world who are joining us today. This meeting is held in a unique time. Just more than a year ago, leaders from all over the world agreed on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. We countries committed to, over the next 15 years, doing away with poverty and hunger, to building more just and inclusive societies that do away with inequalities and have a healthier environment. The challenges are enormous. However, as never before, we have the opportunity to support each other in the transforming power of the internet and to comply with them. We want to have government, private sector, civil society, academia, and the technical community join together to transform our world. Internet governance defines shared principles that model the way in which we interact on the internet. We are convinced that the importance of maintaining an ongoing dialogue can enable us to do this. The multiple stakeholders enables us to do that. It's in the ADN of the internet. And that's why just 3 years ago, the government of Mexico fostered a constitutional reform that guarantees access to the internet as a constitutional right. In addition, the telecommunications law establishes the principles of neutrality so that users can gain access to any service, content, or application offered on the network. We have the Act for the Protection of Personal Data that seeks to ensure privacy, as well as the Law for Transparency and Access to Public Information. 3 years ago, we also designed the National Digital Strategy, and since then, and forever onward, we have collaborated with different actors to build a more inclusive and open Mexico, a digital Mexico. The results have already been seen. We've got 70 million users in the country, an increase of over 70% over 4 years. For the first time, over 50% of the population is connected to the internet. The percentage of users that uses the internet to interact with the government has grown 17-fold in just 3 years, going from 1.2% in 2012 to 20.8% in 2015. Mexico is a leader in Latin America and the Caribbean in online services and online participation. according to the United Nations e-government survey. We are also the first regional place in the barometer in the Open Data Barometer and the OECD Data Index. That the speed with which our digital world is evolving forces us to reinvent ourselves constantly. As a society, we need innovation in all senses. Even and particularly in internet governance, we are compelled to think outside of the box with increasing cooperation and participation, setting aside vertical plans and structures and favoring horizontal and cross-cutting structures. Spaces of thought and exchange such as this forum enable us to look at our decisions and actions to continue to move forward. I thank, once again, all of those who are here today. I know that in upcoming days, over the close to 200 sessions that we will be holding, we will have enriching debates, proposals on crucial topics. How to connect the half of the population that is still not connected. How can we prepare to meet the world challenges in terms of information security? How can we promote a digital environment that is reliable for trade and financial exchanges? How can we make the most of the internet to generate more jobs instead of displacing them? How can we ensure that everyone has the skills necessary in the 21st century so as to benefit from this evolution of the internet? How can we achieve that the internet is a catalyzer for social justice? It is our obligation to see that these benefits are for all, to close or bridge the gaps that enable us to do away with other gaps that humanity faces. Clearly, we need to build on our points of agreement and exchange of ideas so that we can make the most of all of the potential of the internet. And this will be the most valuable work of our next 3 days. Without further ado, I would ask you to kindly stand. And given that it is 16:57 hours of December 6, 2016, I formally declare open the 11th edition of the Internet Governance Forum. Thank you all very much and welcome to Mexico.
Right, thank you very much, Chair. Can you please all remain seated while we first of all take an official photo of the dignitaries, and then they will leave, and then we'll start the opening session. So please remain seated. Right. Thank you very much. Would the dignitaries please leave backstage? Okay, we're going to start the opening session immediately. So I would like to call upon the stage Mr. Iba Betanzos Torres, Undersecretary of Public Administration, Ministry of Public Administration, Mexico. Thank you. There we go. Thank you very much. Following the conclusion of the opening ceremony, we will now proceed with the welcome remarks made by representatives of all stakeholder groups.